We made it another week. And welcome to our Facebook Live. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Kim from WindowWorks, and
And I am Vita Vygovska from Vitalia Inc. Window Treatments.
so we welcome you here. For those of you who are familiar with the podcast, Vita and Luann have been doing a WTF, a Window Treatment Friday. So Vita had a great idea that window treatments are really a visual kind of an element of the design process. So she thought, what if we just did WTF live, and here we are.
And here we are. How cool is that, right? I mean, listen, I love chatting with Luann, and I can do that for hours and hours. I think anybody can who knows Luann. But adding this visual element and just a whole bunch of eye candy and really explaining in visual form what we're talking about, it just felt like a no-brainer.
So I see in the chat that Luann is here. So hey, Lou.
Oh, how cool.
So just as a full disclosure, this is the first time Vita and I are using this platform. So just bear with us if there's any technical difficulties. In this whole process of quarantine, I guess everyone's slowly becoming like really tech savvy. We're all on Zoom and video chat. So by the time this is over, everyone's going to, be able to.
Super professional. And we're getting really good at curling just the fronts of our hairs. And God knows what's happening in the back.
Yep. All right. So today's topic is we're going to be talking about panels and how panels can enhance your room and your design.
Yeah, awesome. Love it.
So,
all right, I am. Great. Okay, here we go.
All righty. So this project here, this was a project that we did at WindowWorks for a client, and they already had window treatments in their bay window. And as you can see, the windows go right underneath the soffit of that bay window. So, and they also have a little banquette in there, but they just felt like they needed a little something extra just to really finish off the room. So we put in just popped a simple pair of stationary panels on the side. With a decorative rod with rings, just to really finish off that look. And the fabric tied in with other elements in the room and whatnot. So yeah, that one's
pretty, very pretty. Kim, question for you. What made you put the rod about halfway or so between the crown and the end of the soffit and not all the way up to the crown?
Well, that was the client's, preference in this situation. And a lot of times that's what, we have that conversation. Do you want it all the way to the, right to the end or right to underneath the crown, or do you want to drop it down? And they wanted to see a little bit of relief between the two. So, that's what we came up with. We dropped it 2 inches down because, again, that window is really low in this space. So we really wanted to enhance it and bring it up higher, make the room feel higher, especially because that wall is an accent wall. So where we have the base, it was a blue color and the rest of the room was more of like a cream. So, they didn't want to hug the crown. So that was, the happy medium.
Oh, hug the crown. I like that. I have not used that term. I'm going to steal it from you. Hugging the crown. There it is. Worth the price of admission right there. Boom. I really like it. It's we get asked all the time, how do you treat bay windows? They can be super tricky, especially in this situation where the window is set pretty low, like you're saying, under the soffit. And so taking those drapery panels to the outside of the window and raising it up, it really elevates the whole thing.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So this is one of our projects from Vitalia Inc. And what you're seeing here is on the left is the before picture, and on the right is the rendering that we did. And this, of course, this is a 2-story family room, something that a lot of people here in the Northeast, at least, are very familiar with. And if I was asked one time, I'm sure I was asked 500 times, what do you do with these 2-story rooms and windows? And this is what we came up with. You can see in the rendering that we have stationary panels on each side of the window. And here we have 4 sets of windows, 8 windows altogether. So we have 8 panels altogether. And without further ado, here's what the finished product looked like. And interestingly, what we did here was we wanted to break up the whole long flow of these super long panels with 3 different fabrics. And it's not like they were like super contrasting. I mean, there's still a lot of grays and whites as you see in the rest of the room, but we really wanted to align each fabric with the top of the top window rather than the wall between the windows and then the bottom window.
Yeah, and by doing that, it really just elongates the space because that's the tricky part when you're dealing with these two-story high windows is that how do you make it feel like it's continuing to go and and makes the room, feel as tall as the room is. So that's a really great job. And then so
Thanks.
the, the panels did you have a meet in the corner or you just did like literally four pairs instead of it being like the corner one
Mhm.
notch.
Right. We had them. We did not have them meet in the corner, and there's a lot of various challenges here in this room. I'm going to leave the explanation of all the challenges for the episode when we do two-story windows. So everybody, stay tuned for that. But to answer your question, there were literally individual panels there.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and it totally cozied up the room and really made it just finishes off the space, especially seeing
The
that
before.
the before and then the after. Yeah. Okay.
Here you go, Kim.
Yep. Go ahead. Okay. So this
That
is also a two-story situation that we have here. Sorry, I'm having group text just coming on through.
I was wondering what all those pings were.
Yeah. So hold on one second. I'm trying to mute it on my end. All right.
I thought we
So
were getting questions
oh no.
galore, maybe.
So with this situation, it is in this room. Sorry, I'm just putting this on do not disturb. Okay, there we go. That should do it. Okay, so in this room, we also had a two-story situation that the customer never had window treatments here. So she didn't really feel like she was like, I don't know if I really feel the need for window treatments. And
Somebody really wants you.
it's a group message, so I'm just deleting the message. Okay, so with that, they oh my god, you know what?
Throw the phone out.
It's because the phone is connected to
Oh,
the
it's connected to the computer, right?
yeah,
That's okay.
phone
Just like chiming in here and there.
all right. So
While you're doing that, my dog here is making an appearance. Oh, nope, he wants to be off my lap now.
all right, so hopefully that works. All right, so with this situation here, this client never had window treatments, and the room again was a double high room. Now, where in the situation that you had before that, where the windows kind of all flanked the fireplace, in this situation, this was just a standalone window. And on the other
Hmm.
side of the room, we had two larger windows, and those windows were on a 9 foot high ceiling. So that was the challenge of she wanted to dress the windows in the front of the room, but like leave these alone. But we thought it's going to look funny and unfinished. And she's like, I don't really want to cover my arch. So this was the solution that we came up with. Just popping a nice pair of simple panels, going not too much higher than the window so that this way it wouldn't look so disproportionate to the other windows in the room. And
Hmm.
that's what we came up with here, this really pretty cravat fabric. I still remember the fabric. It was from a couple years ago, but yeah, and it just
Nice.
as soon as we put it in, she was like, "Yeah, now I see why this window really needed."
Needed
Um,
something done there.
absolutely, yeah.
And this is a really good example of how an arch window can be treated, because I'm sure you get these questions all the time. There's all these challenging windows, and one of those challenging windows is an arch window. And if, 10, 20 years ago, we used to do these arched swags and cascades and cover up the arch. Now, a lot of times what we do is we just take our panels all the way up and we run the bar across the top, and you can still see the arch shape, but the bar kind of accentuates, and of course the panels dress up the whole thing.
Right, exactly.
Nice. Okay. Speaking of arches, I don't think I planned it that way. So this is a situation where this particular customer, this was a very culturally rooted family,
Mhm.
and we wanted to do something. They were insisting actually to do something that truly contoured the shape of the arch.
Right.
And also, this is an example where we used pulled back panels, whereas I'm pretty sure what we're going to see for the rest of the presentation up until now were straight panels. And straight panels truly is what's in right now. It's just, you know, it's that streamlined look, that clean look that everybody's asking for. And so there's really not a whole lot of pullback panels that at least we're doing at Vitalia Inc. But this was the customer that was wanting it, and they were ready for it, and I was happy to provide it for them. And so the interesting thing here in terms of fabrication was that we created an arch-shaped board at the top, and we attached our panels onto the board. So there's no hardware at the top. It's just a clean shape of the arch. We followed the shape of the arch, and we pulled them back.
So basically, you just like shirred the panels right onto the board.
These are actually pleated, Kim. They are. I know sometimes it's hard to tell, but those are pleated panels, and they're attached to the front of the board. So the board is at the top, and then there's a board in the front too. So it's kind of like a cornice. Now I know this is our first show, so we haven't introduced the different terminology. Maybe that should be our next show. The different types of treatment. Maybe that's what we should have started with, but the heck with it. So yeah, it was the board at the top, board in the front, and the panels are attached, stapled essentially to the front of the board.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, now in this room, this was a client's dining room, and in this room we had a double rod setup. They wanted to add decorative panels, but then they also wanted a layer of privacy because this window faces the front of the house. So we added the sheer layer. Now, in terms of like where we place the rod in this situation, we didn't, hug the crown because there was a hutch to the left of the window that we wanted to keep the rod even with that. So when you were looking in the space, all the furniture and the rod all kind of lined up. So it wasn't like one thing was at this level, one thing was at that level. And that's the other thing too that you can play around with is in situations like this, when you're adding drapery panels, it's another way to connect other spaces in the room with other elements. So that was what I really loved about that. And it
Pretty
just
cool.
adding the color and these are baton draw, so it's like in a hotel. So you're just moving with the baton because I know child safety is a big thing now.
So these are 2 layers, right, Kim? Because it's hard to tell from the picture. Sometimes it's even hard to tell from the picture, and I would try to make it visual, but we still have to explain things.
It's a double rod. So what happens is in the front, the green panels are sitting in the front, and those don't move, and they're attached to the rod with rings. But in the back rod is a decorative traverse rod, so it's basically a track. And that's how you can open and close the drapes with the batons there.
Nice job. I like it. Okay, so this is one of our projects, and this was a fairly large master bedroom, and the client wanted to replace some of the old cascades, swags and cascades, the more old-fashioned treatments, and of course she wanted to replace them with stationary drapery panels. She doesn't need anything for privacy because she already has those inside mounted shades there. Okay. But we wanted to add the texture and the color and kind of like the makeup, the mascara to the eyes with those drapery panels. So the challenging thing here was this main window. As you see, it's also arched. Here we go with the arch window again. And so we were challenged with how do we run the rod here. So one of the ideas was to have the rod go across the entire triple window. Except that that window is so big. I mean, it was probably over 100 inches in width. So with just 2 stationary panels on the side, we felt like the rod would overpower the room actually. And we also didn't want to actually raise it much higher because we wanted our rods to be sort of on the same level there. So you see the window that is next to the bed and my little rod are on the same level. So we contemplated the idea of adding 2 more panels right on the sides of the arch window. But what is not seen in this picture is that there is, in addition to these windows, there's three other windows on the adjacent walls. And so when we thought about like all those panels, it just felt a little overwhelming. So we just stuck with two side panels on the very sides, and we put them on short rods. So what I'm trying to illustrate here is don't be afraid to have a full rod running on one window and have two shorter rods running across the wider window.
Yeah, because that's always a question like that we often get. Like, is it okay to do like a smaller rod in a situation like that? So this is a perfect example as to like how you can treat windows the same but yet a little differently within the same space, and where they even almost meet in the corner there.
Exactly. Exactly. I like how you said it, the same but a little different. And it's okay to do
Yeah,
that in the same room.
exactly. Okay. So this was a client of ours that she redid her family room, and she also never had window treatments in this space. And they lived in the house for about 10 years, and they had furniture. And when they really decided to do a redo of the entire space, that's what she called Window Works. And um, with that, we added these stationary panels. Now she wanted something that was a little soft, and we also added the element of the woven woods underneath. And in that, you can't really see it, but in the corner there, instead of just doing stationary panels, the one window on the left really almost met the window to the
Mm-hmm.
left of the fireplace. So where in your one photo where you had the blocking panels where you did four individual pairs of panels, here the one in the corner was so close that we just had the panel meet in the corner. So it was one big panel that wrapped that corner. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
it technically looked like each panel had its own separate pair, but because it was so close, we didn't have enough room to just do two individual panels there. And so
Mm-hmm.
adding the layer of the woven wood underneath, and the ceiling was also a little tricky here too because you have that pitched ceiling. So we couldn't go too high above the fireplace, so we just kind of lined it up the rod right underneath that one decorative element in the on the molding there. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that was that. And what she said when I went back to do another room was, she said, the window treatments just really finished off the space. She never really thought, she wasn't one that had a lot of window treatments all over the place, but she thought, I'm really doing this room. I want to make it right. And she's just like, the window treatments made a world of difference.
That's usually what we hear all the time too. I mean, you know it just as well as I do that we as window treatment people are usually the last ones in the room. Usually there's furniture in already, and obviously all the painting is done, all and any kind of construction that needed to take place ahead of time. And the window treatments are the last ones. And inevitably, it doesn't fail. It never fails. The customer comes in and goes, wow, what a difference. Like the way to finish it off is incredible.
I always like to say it's almost like putting on that last piece of jewelry, like for the ladies out there. Like it's like, oh, that was the last piece of jewelry that just made that outfit.
That's right. That's right. Nice job here, Kim.
Thanks.
Okay, so this is here a before picture, and I wanted to include it because this is an interesting type of window that we're treating. It is half of an arch or a quarter of a circle. So, uh,
So
how do you treat those? What do you do? Do you follow the shape, or do you go all the way up to the top? Do you treat it under that quarter or half arch? I guess options are limitless, right? Endless. But what do you do? And here is an example where we actually presented two different options to this
mhm.
customer. We definitely wanted to stick with the panels, and we definitely wanted to take it all the way up. I mean, at this point, I would never say never. I try not to use never or always because those are absolutes, but it would be very rare for me to run a bar across the window under that quarter arch, half arch. Why I keep saying quarter, half arch, um, because it would just like chop off the window and would make the room look very dwarfed. And so nowadays we take everything up, and we usually take things as high as the
Yep.
customer would allow us. So, but the two options that we gave here are either two panels on the very outside of the windows, so just one panel each per window, or a pair of panels on each window. So you see a pair flanking the window, or just a panel each on the outside of the window. And the after look is,
Ooh, what did they pick? What did they pick? Oh, nice.
ta-da! We picked a pair of panels on each side of the window. And of course, there's challenges here as well. Anytime you are working with windows that are flanking the fireplace, there's always that how much room there is between the window and the fireplace. And inevitably, there's like 5 inches or something ridiculous like that. And then there's, of course, the questions of, how thin do you make the panels without them looking too skimpy, but nobody wants to take up their window and the light. So I'm sure Kim will be doing more episodes on challenges like that. But for now, we just wanted to give you some of the befores and afters, and just give you some eye candy.
Yeah, we could probably even just do one on just fireplace windows.
That's a good idea. I
Yeah.
should be taking notes.
Yes. And hopefully someone's taking notes. No, we'll do that. Okay, so we also have some free goodies for you guys. On the WindowWorks website, we have Architectural Digest isn't coming. The 10 things you need to know about window treatments that Luann wrote. It's a really great just intro into window treatments and things that you really need that you would want to know. So if you hop on over to our website, you can get that free ebook.
And from us, from Vitalia Inc., I would love the interior designers to hop onto our website, which is vitaliainc.com, and grab your free gift, which is a PDF download, 37 and a half window treatment ideas, which you can steal, swipe, and make your own in your next interior design project. So just some resources that we have available for you guys.
And then if you are in the or in the interior design business, or you're just, a regular person watching the live right now, all these kinds of things can apply to you. And then in order, if you're like thinking, I really would love to get window treatments like that, you can either find a local interior designer, or if you are in the New York, New Jersey metro area, you can call WindowWorks. We can definitely help you out with that.
And for us, we would love to connect with interior designers. We are a to the trade only company. We're measuring, fabrication, installation, and project management service as it relates to window treatments and coordinating products exclusively for interior designers and architects. So we would love to connect with you guys. You can do that via phone, direct email to me, or I would love to connect with you on Instagram.
And you can follow us on Instagram. We're WindowWorks. And Vita?
Yeah, Vitalia_Inc.
And you also, if you want to keep up with what Luann is doing, she's doing a lot of great lives and jumping on and doing Instagram lives with a bunch of different interior designers. She was just on a couple of days ago with Sandra Funk. Be sure to follow Luann at Luann Agara. So,
nice.
We hope you guys enjoyed this first episode of WTF Live.
I'm so excited, Kim. This was a lot of fun. We talked for like 25 minutes. Holy moly. Who would have known?
Who knew we could talk about panels for 20 minutes? We could talk about for a lot longer.
We should have known. We should have known. Not a surprise. But this was awesome.
This was great. And then we'll see you all next Friday.
That's right. The idea is to do this every Friday. So I can't wait to see everyone.
So stay sane. Bye, everyone.